Hello, welcome to autumn and your autumnal seasonal scents Perfume Society discovery box. This is the unboxing of said box. I'm Suzy Nightingale, I'm the senior writer for Scented Letter magazine, and it has been a delight to discover some of these fragrances, some of which I knew already and some of which I tried for the first time in this box, which hopefully is something that you will be experiencing too. Autumn, I have to tell you, is my favourite month. Firstly, I love all of these colours. I love the autumnal colours. I love the way that you still get that golden light and there's this crispness in the air. You can sometimes smell that bonfire smoke on the breeze. I think it's a time of change, of excitement, and of getting ready to snuggle down. I also think it's the least disappointing month of all, certainly in the UK weather-wise, because autumn, if you get a really sunny day, it's an absolute delight and pleasure. And if it's a bit cold, you can put your coat on and your boots and go for a walk in the park and just marvel at the colours of the trees. But the fragrances in this box really encompass all that autumn has to offer. So that brightness still in the air and not being quite ready to swaddle ourselves in winter fragrances just yet, but getting that coziness, that cashmere wrap sort of sensation in olfactory form. Now you'll have seen your gorgeous postcard within the box, which gives you some of the information about the fragrances, and of course there's a lot more information in the smelling notes that are online, and you can click through and discover all about the fragrances. And if you want even more information, you can look at the fragrance houses, the brands that make the fragrances, and all of that is on perfumesociety.org. So you can spend hours and hours researching, as I love to, all of the perfumers and the notes that are in the fragrances and a lot more about their inspiration. But what we're going to do is smell our way through them and just see how they make us feel, what they bring to mind, and yeah, let's dive in, shall we? So the first one is a brand that I really love. It's Memoirs London. They're so artistic. Everything about them is so thoughtful and thought out. And they love collaborating with various artists. And this time they have done a whole collection around sculpting. And they collaborated with a sculptress called Zoe Wilson. And for each of the fragrances in that collection, it's a different aspect of that art form, I guess, the textural feeling that comes from it. And when we wear a fragrance, you can get textural feelings from the way that the perfume has blended those ingredients. Some feel smooth and soft, some feel plush, some feel silky. You get temperature as well, hot and cold. But to me, this one, which is Étoile, or is it Étoile? I don't know. No one's going to mind if we get it wrong. Étoile. This one to me has that balance of both. It's got a silkiness to it, but it also has a delicious warmth to it as well, right in the base notes as it dries. So you've got some lemon and bergamot and pops of pink pepper up top. So it's like that early morning autumnal light to me, where you're not quite sure which way the day is going to go. Is it going to rain? Is it going to be really cold? Is the sun going to come out and it's actually going to be really beautiful? Maybe it will be all of those things in one day. We get that quite a lot here in the UK, don't we? But then it seeks into this heart of white flowers, jasmine, and this whole bouquet. Now, white flowers you might normally associate with summertime, but I think because they are so balanced, again, that equality, the étoile of the name, because they're so balanced with that brightness of the top and then this powdery hush of the base, it is just the perfect melding on your skin, and it's that sort of segue into a new season when we're sort of almost between seasons, aren't we? A lot of the time it feels like, oh, was it quite summer? We didn't really have that great a summer here in the UK for most of it. So autumn, we've still borrowed the best bits of summer, that golden sunshine, but then in the base, that snuggle brings an extra layer. It's like putting a scarf on. It's like, okay, now I'm going to wear my cardigan. Now I'm going to put that extra layer on just to feel warmer, more secure. So the musk in here, the powdery notes and the vanilla are such a wonderful contrast between that bright crispness, the crispest nip in the air that began the fragrance as it started on our skin. So smell these on a blotter first of all, but then narrow them down to which ones you want to try first, and definitely try them on your skin. I think you'll be surprised sometimes by how different a fragrance can smell on a blotter and on your skin, which is something we all forget, even professionals who work in the industry. You smell it on a blotter, you go, and then you put it on your skin and you think, wow, that is so different. So yes, use a blotter to narrow it down, but always try on your skin. I mean, you know this, I'm sure, but it's just worth remembering sometimes. So this was one that I think really the crispness came through much more on the blotter for me, and then on my skin, that powdery softness, the cashmere sort of whisper in the base really wrapped itself around me. Love it. Now here we have a really new niche brand that launched at Harrods. They're such an incredible collaboration, again with lots of artists, and their visual imagery is very striking, as are some of the names. So I'm not going to read out the full name in case it upsets anyone, but I'm sure you can work out. So it's SH something something TY day. They're being deliberately provocative there. Let's just say it's, if you've had a bad day and you want to change it around. I often do this with fragrance anyway, and I love that they've tapped into that power that fragrance has for this one. It's an amber aromatic, and I was really surprised with how much freshness there is in this. So it's that sort of eucalyptus leaf freshness. So yes, it feels leafy. It doesn't feel summery to me. I'd say this is trans-seasonal actually. You could wear this at any time of year, but it really reminds me of that walk in the park or through the woods or wherever your nearest green space is in your lovely garden, if you're lucky enough to have one, where you just enjoy that sort of maybe you've cut the grass for the last time that year and you can see the colours of the leaves changing, you can see the verdancy is dying away a little bit, but you still get that joy of being in the woods, being in that green space and watching it change and watching the year change and embracing change as well. So with that eucalyptus, you get a blast of salty ocean air. And this reminds me of when I lived in Brighton. I so miss living by the sea for that sort of bracing weather that even if it was terrible day, I loved going walking by the sea because it just seemed to wash all your cares away the moment you got that smell of the salty air and that crisp breeze. And I just loved striding along in my coat with my coffee in my hand, sunglasses on. It's just to me the ideal weather and the ideal place to experience autumn. So if you need something in your life that just gives you that freshness, that just clears the air, that sets the scene for a new season, I think this is such a good one to try. You've got salted fig in here as well. You've got clary sage, which is known for its head clearing properties, for its ability to just centre you, to ground you, to give you some clarity in life, which, my goodness, we all need sometimes. And then you've got these sea-soaked woods and Baltic amber in the base. And the amber gives it this beautiful glow as though it's lit from beneath. And it's like, you know, if you walk through the woods sometimes and you see that autumn sunlight shining through the trees, it's almost like looking through a stained glass window because the light is filtered. It feels softer. I think autumn feels kinder in many ways as a month to me personally, and this is what this fragrance makes me feel, it feels kinder, head clearing, setting a blank page to begin again and to embrace change. So I hope that you enjoy this fragrance and you also get some of that when you wear it too. Now, we need some opulence, I think now. We need Versace, and they are so known for their opulent embrace of more is more. No minimalism here, and I very much agree with that, by the way. So this is actually Energy Pour On, but I would encourage you, if you've never done it before, whatever gender you are, however you feel like wearing your fragrances is completely fine. Nobody is going to judge you for it, especially not now. And I think sometimes you're missing out on so many fragrances that you will adore, just because it says pour homme or pour femme on it, or his, hers, masculine, feminine, whatever. I think we're so open to the idea now, aren't we, that you can just wear whatever you like. And this Pour Homme fragrance, it's a freshness, but it's the kind of freshness I like because it's got so much more depth. And it's blood orange in here. I don't know why I always think of blood oranges as autumnal. Are they autumnal? I don't know, sorry. But I just think they're the sort of amber of the fruit world to me, if that makes sense. So yes, it's citrus, but it's got so much more going on, and that is balanced in here. You've got some grapefruit, lime, lemon, mandarin. It's a whole citrus party going on. That sparkle and that pop, it's like champagne glasses clinking. And then you've got blackcurrant and white amber, and that's all resting on this patchouli rich, resinous musk and oak moss base. Now, oak moss, to me, it is that whisper of fallen leaves on the forest floor. It is that earthiness that's coming through, which marries so well with that patchouli and the musk and the warmth. So if you're missing summer, if you're missing holidays and brightness, you don't have to give that up for autumn. This is that golden, sunlit, perfect autumnal day, and it's bottled for you. I really think I need a full bottle of this, actually, because it's so joyous to wear. And it just feels fun. It feels like, oh, there's possibilities still in autumn, aren't there? You can go to parties, you can see friends. Life slows down a little bit more, hopefully, in the autumn. And yeah, there's fun to be had still, and Versace are bringing it. Now, a wonderful house that, oh my goodness, their history is just so incredible. So you have to look at the brand page on perfumesociety.org for Atkinson's, because what a story. I mean, it's almost like a fairy story, but it's a house that's been revived. It was founded in 1799, one of the oldest British perfume houses, and then it was revived much more recently. So this is the tribute to the founder of that house, and it's James Atkinson. So it's just called James, and it's a woody amber. It's got something of a sort of almost a barbershop cologne accord running through it, which is a sort of nod to their heritage and the history and the fragrances that were popular in 1799 and for a long time since. But it's also got really distinct modernity to it. So you've got some bergamot, you've got finger lime. Lime in fragrances was very, very popular then. Pink peppercorn and clary sage. But then there's a vetiver in the heart, and the patchouli, musk and akigala wood, which is definitely not something that they were using, certainly not in British fragrances at that time. So that woody earthiness, that strength in the heart rather than in the base, which I think is really interesting. So in the base, like it's been flipped, you've got elemi, white flowers and violet leaves. So yes, it's a tribute to a male founder, but you've got violet, which was very popular for gentlemen to wear. You know, we think modern fragrances, or certainly of recent years, were masculine and feminine. Then everyone would wear the same fragrance generally. You didn't split them into genders at all. So really that's a sort of post-Second World War concept when that really came in. But this is leaning into that. Anyone can wear anything. but with that strength in the heart that sort of carries you through the day. There's a gentle spiciness to this that comes out, possibly from that pink peppercorn and the clary sage. It's such an interesting fragrance to wear. I think it's going to take you on lots of journeys and be suitable for so many different occasions. Now, Jimmy Choo. I'm sure we've all heard of Jimmy Choo. And something I think is great is I couldn't afford the shoes personally or the accessories, but I can afford the fragrance. And the fragrances are so good. This one is I Want You Le Parfum, and this is a stronger, more intense version of the original. And it's an amber floral woody, so perfect for autumn. If you still like your florals, this has got gardenia in, but it's enhanced and contrasted with blackberry, and blackberry picking makes me think of late summer, early autumn. There's some pear in here as well, and jasmine to go with that gardenia, which gardenia I always think of as more waxy, and jasmine feels like it floats on evening air, perhaps a little more. There's ambrette and patchouli in here as well. Ambrette is such a wonderful skin-like scent, so it smells like your skin but better. It's that warm skin, it's that wrap of a lovely wool cashmere coat or a scarf around your shoulders just to keep the autumnal chill away, and yet you've got some mossy notes coming through as well, and a touch of praline. Now I always worry a little bit when I see praline in a list of ingredients because I don't want it to be too sweet on my skin personally. To me, the Jimmy Choo fragrances are so beautifully balanced. They've been so wonderfully rounded by the perfumers that the praline is never too much. It is mixing with that mossy amber and that sandalwood for the absolute perfect blend. So I really love wearing this on my skin. I think the lasting power in the Le Parfum is incredible. It will last all day into the next day, and you'll be able to smell this even on your scarf, which I love. You know, when you wear a scarf again or you wear a coat again and you can still smell your perfume on it from the day before, sometimes days before, and this is one of those that will really last on your coat or on your scarf as well, in your hair. Gorgeous. Now, I was lucky enough to go in a New York taxi ride for the launch of this fragrance, and it wasn't in New York, it was in London, which was rather bizarre, but it really brought the spirit of New York to London. And Donna Karan is so synonymous with that city, isn't she? It's just like this kick-ass founder. She's done so much for the fashion industry and for fragrance, and she's still going, you know, this house is still delivering. It's still really relevant. And the bottle for this, I have to tell you, if you can get your hands on a full-size bottle, you need it in your life. Actually, they're so heavy, they're so well made and such quality. You could get two and use them as dumbbells, I think. You could use it for exercise, but it's such a beautiful, it's like an egg timer, and it's that sort of infinity symbol of 8 as well. And Donna Karan has always been about empowering women. She's a feminist. It's the woman who can have it all, the woman who can have that amazing job, live in a vibrant city, and then go out and party with her friends afterwards. It's bringing that, but there's a great sophistication to this fragrance. It's got rhubarb and pink pepper, and there's some rose and jasmine in there as well, but it's so completely wearable, I think, by any age group. So if you've perceived previously perhaps that the DKNY fragrances lean a little bit younger than the fragrances that you would generally wear, I really urge you to wear this and try this on your skin. So if you looked at this and thought, well, that's going to be younger, so I'll give that to, you know, a younger family member or a friend, try it on your skin before you regret that, because I was really surprised by how chic this was, how pulled together, and there's this really interesting note within it, which I had to look up several times because I was sure I'd read it wrong. And it's called Quincester. Now, quince I've heard of, and that's that sort of it can be honeyed, but actually it's quite a sour fruit, so you can't normally eat it. You have to cook it, or you have to you mix it with honey. It's lovely with cheese, I happen to find. But Quincesta is actually a Firmenich captive. So a captive is something that a fragrance house creates especially for them, and it's exclusive to them, so it cannot be copied. So it makes a really distinctive note in a fragrance, and therefore no other fragrance house can say, oh yeah, we'll just copy those ingredients, because they do not have access to that. It's exclusive to the house. So you've got this crisp greenness within there, and to me that balances so beautifully with those white flowers. There's tuberose in here, which I don't normally like. It can go bubblegummy and quite sweet on my skin, but balanced with that quince note and the rhubarb and the pink pepper, it works beautifully. And in the base, we have that warmth. So to me, you're wearing a DKNY coat, and you've wrapped your massive oversized scarf around you, and you're snuggling into the ambrox and the sandalwood, the cedar and the musk that's in the base here. Yeah, we can be that DKNY woman striding through the streets of New York looking ultra cool, kick-ass, like you've got everything together, and billowing a trail of 24/7. Molten Brown, Wild Mint and Lavender. Molten Brown have been at the forefront of perfumery and body and skincare, hair care for so many years. They started in the 1970s. They've always stayed true to their not being tested on animals and their sustainable aesthetic. They were one of the pioneers in that movement, and in really pioneering unusual notes. What we thought of at the time were unusual notes in perfumery. For example, their iconic black pepper. They were the first people who did a black pepper fragrance, and they totally revolutionized the fragrance scene. Here they've gone for wild mint and lavender, which is a lavender hybrid, and perfumers often prefer lavender to lavender because it's much more nuanced. You can do a lot more with it than merely lavender, which can take over a fragrance, which isn't always preferable to our modern tastes perhaps. With the wild mint here, and there's this powdery orris as well, they want you to embrace your wild side. So they encourage you to walk out into the woods, take the path less trodden, and explore and really tap into your own imagination and let your spirits free in the woods this season. Maybe it's only even in your own garden, but go and sit in the wild area, the overgrown area. So it's sort of nettly. It feels like it's definitely wild. It's not a cultivated, polite garden. It is a wild wood, and it's the joys of letting yourself be free in that really come through. I think it's both grounding and calming, but also uplifting and refreshing, and that's a really difficult balancing act to pull off in a fragrance, and they really have here. Now you will know, because you've seen your note in your box, that you will get one or the other of the super dry fragrances. So there's the masculine one. Again, it doesn't mean anything. You can wear either, which was created by Natalie Lawson and Alexandra Monet. And that's a salty, ambery, woody, aromatic fragrance that I have really enjoyed wearing. I think these are fantastic fragrances, and by some of the world's top perfumers. Now, the feminine version, which is the one I got in my box, is by Natalie Lawson alone. And this is described as a floral woody musk. So again, it's for those of you who don't want to quite let go of those sort of more beautiful, rounded floral fragrances that you've been enjoying, but you want some warmth and some more structure to it, maybe, and some more depth. So you've got white peony, pear and magnolia in here. But then ambrox again, and this salty accord, which I just think is fascinating. I just think it works so well on skin. That sort of slightly salty amber. And to me it's like it's like that autumnal air where there's a little bit of a nip in the air, but you've got that warmth as well. Does autumnal air taste salty? I don't know. I hope you understand what I mean. But in the base, you've got cedarwood, sandalwood and white musk, and it whispers its way around you, that base. It's not going to dominate. It's not a heavy, woody, cloying, overpowering fragrance in any way because it's so beautifully balanced again. But it's an easy to wear fragrance. You can wear this to the office. It's not going to offend anyone, but it's got some interest and depth and longevity to it, even though it's an eau de toilette, actually. I found it lasted quite a lot longer on my skin than I thought. Now, Natalie Lawson again. I mean, she's an absolute genius. She is the perfumer behind Soleil Vivant, and she's working with Alexandra Monet again, who did the super dry fragrance with her. So this is a woody floral, they describe it as, but my goodness, it's so much more than that. Talking about golden sunlight. This is honeyed sunlight to me. There's an ambery warmth to it. It feels soft, it feels kind, and yet it's uplifting. One of my favourite notes of all time is orange blossom, and within this, it feels like orange blossom has been swirled into a golden amber honey and just stirred around with little flecks of saffron as well, giving a pop and a sizzle of warmth beneath. I find it absolutely divine to wear. This is one of those that when I wear it, I'm wafting my top, I'm smelling my wrist all the time, I'm wrapping that scarf around me and smelling the scarf, because you will just fall in love with yourself when you wear this fragrance, I think. It doesn't matter if, you know, someone else falls in love with you, that's nice too, but you will love yourself wearing this. It is a joy. The jasmine in here feels hot. It feels like, oh, perhaps you've come back from an amazing holiday and you've got a bit of a tan, your skin is bronzed, or it's just an unseasonably warm Indian summer day in autumn and you're just basking in that sunlight like a lizard on a rock and allowing it to imbue itself into your skin, to warm your bones. And if it's not that warm, this fragrance will give you that feeling. It gives you that joy. It gives you that turning your face to the sun and smiling, because it's gorgeous. There's something called Dreamwood, which is a synthetic note in the base. But basically it's all the best bits of wood, that warmth, that snuggliness, that cashmere wrap, mixed all together, and it will allow you to dream. So this is autumn dreams. It's autumn happiness in a bottle to me. And it's something that, yes, I've worn in the summer. I think it really comes into its own in the autumn, when sunny days aren't always there, but when they're here, we appreciate them even more, don't we? So I hope that you've found a new favourite fragrance for autumn and winter ahead in this box. Let us know what your favourites were, what surprised you the most. And I hope that you'll join us again. Can you believe winter, spring, summer? Which have been your favourite boxes so far? We love hearing from you. So until next time, enjoy smelling and wearing your fragrances. Bye-bye.